Hey everybody, and welcome to part 2 of Bonecanoe86's Suddenplant answers your questions. Now, if this is the first thing you're seeing, go to part 1 first. It's the beginning of this. This is what follows that. Unless you're the kind of person who likes to watch part 2 before part 1, in which case, by all means, watch this first. But anyway, we're going to jump right back into things. Because this is taking a very long time. Not that I'm not having fun. Okay. I have only 4 questions. Oh, good. Only 4. Yeah, that won't take long at all. 1. Have you ever seen Tommy Wiseau's classic The Room? No, I've never seen that. Would I like it? I don't know. Maybe I'll see it. If enough people say in the comments, oh man, you gotta totally see that, then I'll probably see it. But if everyone's like, oh man, it sucks, then I'd probably see it too, just to see how much it sucks. But if everyone says, man, it's average, then I might not see it. So, we'll see. 2. On the Christmas video, why did you make Laura look very different than she did? Oh yes, the Christmas special I made for Christmas of 2009 of the Lincolns. Probably one of the first videos I made of the style of what would later become my Sims 2 shows. It was, a little heartwarming story, just to, give people a little awe moment, or whatever. But, Laura, by everyone's admission, turned out to be pretty ugly in that, teenage Laura. I made new Sims to represent Mike and Laura and their families when they were teenagers. And I designed Laura's face, unfortunately without turning her to the side. So her face looked quite good from head on. But as soon as I started playing them and I saw her face sideways, I'm like, oh no. No. But by then it was too late. It was either redesign the entire, Wilson family, which is Laura, her 2 siblings, and her parents, or just roll with it. And I decided to roll with it. I'm like, oh, she's not that ugly. People won't notice. Well, they noticed. And, the most common comment I got was, man, I really liked this episode, but Laura was very ugly. And it was like, what can you do? Yeah, that's, in the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that. 3. What is your least favorite game you have Let's Played? Or are Let's Playing? Now, that's a hard one to say, because I like every game I'm Let's Playing. I've only done 4, to be honest, I've done Civilization 3, I've done The Sims 2, I've done SimCity 4, and I've done a Super Mario thing, which is the Mario World ROM hack. That's it. I've only done 4 games in these 2 years and 1,500 subs. That's all I've done. So, do I like any one of those 3 or 4 less than the others? Well, it's kind of hard to put a Super Mario thing against the other 3 because it's like a fan-made game. But if you want to consider it as a subset of Super Mario World, I don't know. I can't really answer that question. I love all the games. Otherwise, I wouldn't devote an insane number of videos to them. I mean, I made a my 500 video special. I've been making a lot of specials lately, haven't I? But anyway, in my 500 video special, I said how many of each I made, and it's a lot for all of them, so I can't really answer that, to be honest. Alright. 4. Is there any question that has ever annoyed you? This question can count as an annoying question. Let's think about that. No question is annoying unless it's asked more than like 2 or 3 times. We'll just leave it at that. P.S. the game. I lost the game. And now so did you. Also, sorry about this extra question. You lied. You said 4 questions. What the hell, man? 5? I can't answer 5. I can't handle that shit. Alright, man. Number 5. Here we go. Will you finish ASMT? I want to see the finale. Yes, I do plan on finishing ASMT. In between all the other stuff I'm doing, I honestly forget how much more there is, but it's not that long. I estimate 10 to 20 more episodes, then ASMT will be done. Oh, my computer's going on standby again. It's on battery right now because I had to move. But anyway, you know, why do I want to hear about that? What do you think about newer games compared to the old, in terms of overall gameplay and story? Well, now that's a very involved question. You know, new versus old. Reminds me of something the Nostalgia Critic does. You know, he'll compare a classic movie to a new remake. But when you're talking about newer or older games, well, in my mind, a newer game is like within the last 5 years or so, and an older game is like from the 90s. Like I said, I have a lot of nostalgia for the 90s, and I liked a lot of the, the simplicity of the times. And if you look at what I'm doing on my channel, the newest, all my games that I play are more than 5 years old. The Sims 2 is the most recent in 2005, but Civilization 3 came out in 2002. SimCity 4 came out in 2003, I think. And Super Mario World, of course, came out in 1991. So, probably just for nostalgic and familiar reasons, I like the older games better, but I do kind of admit that in some ways the newer games, there's a lot more enriching elements in them. You can get deeper into them, but even that's not true, because I really got into SimCity 2000 when I was a kid in the mid-90s, and it was a deep game for me at that time. And that game, Theme Park, if anyone's ever heard of Theme Park, I could dive into that game and just bury myself within it. And that was a 90s game. So I'm going to say old wins in this case, but it's, I recognize that new is also has its merits. Of course, we're oversimplifying, but that's, when you have 46, 50 questions to answer, you can't really do too much more than that. When are you going to stream again? I answered that in part 1. If you missed it, watch part 1. Okay. When are you going to make Sue's story? Well, to be fair, these questions were answered before the first episode of Sue's World was released. So I guess my answer to that question is, I will make it a few days ago. I'm a time traveler, and I will now go into the past and make the episode that you watched a few days ago. Here I go. Oh man, I'm back from the time machine. Okay, that was kind of stupid. I should have changed my shirt or something and, messed up my hair so I would look different, but whatever. When are you going to make Sue's story? What are your plans for Sue's World? The question was right above it. You probably should have checked before you hit enter. That's just saying. Oh boy. Okay, another group of 4 questions. 1. How do you feel about Mike and Laura's death? Well, that was 2, but we'll pretend it was 1. I feel, well, when it happened, I actually felt a little sad, to be honest, because, it's like a fictional character in a book that you really grow to be attached to, and then you see them killed. It's kind of like that, you know. I felt that they were more than just computer programs. I felt that they were personalities. And when Laura died, you know, the first one to die, I wouldn't say like I felt like really sad, but I just felt, you know, a little feeling like, oh, this is sad. And same thing when Mike died. I mean, it wasn't so much of a shock because it wasn't the first time, but it really felt like the end of the era, because it feels like as much as I owe my success to the real people who have subscribed and watched my shows all these times, I feel that I actually owe my success to Mike and Laura, because they made the family and they made the shows possible. So I feel that, you know, even though they're fictional characters, they are the real ones who made Bonecanoe86 into what it's turned into today. So I salute them, and I was very sad when they died. Alright, number 2, which was really number 1, but we're making it number 2. How long will the story of The Sims continue? I've thought about that. I'll continue it until I no longer feel like doing it, I guess. That's the best I can give you. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon, though, so I can't really give you an answer. I'll probably just keep going with these guys for indefinitely. You know, the episodes might get less infrequent, but I don't see a time in which I'll be putting my foot down and saying, this is the end. No more. I just don't see that in the future. 3. What plans do you have for those who are currently children? Well, we're referring to the 3rd generation of the Lincolns here, meaning, you know, Lucy's kids, James and Allie, as well as Amanda's kids, George and Tom. I have some ideas for what they might do in the future, but then again, I don't like to give it away. But I want to make things interesting. I don't want them to have boring lives, you know. I'm going to throw a little spice in there. What will that spice be? You'll just have to wait. Remember, it's only a few more episodes of Lucy and Puck where James will be a teenager, and he'll be the first teenager since Sue was a teenager. And I plan to make his teenage years pretty interesting, in a very different way than anyone else's has been interesting. And you'll see what I mean when it comes around. So that's something to look forward to, I guess. 4. When are you going to finish ASMT? Soon. Probably in February, March. I guess it will be finished by that point. It's hard to tell exactly. Alright. Can you tell me what food I like best? Oh man, that's a hard question. That's the hardest question I've had so far. I don't know. I really like steak and potatoes and green beans with cranberries and a glass of milk. Is that all the food groups? Okay, that's good enough. Oh, and pizza. And hoagies. Cheesesteaks. Pancakes. I could go on and on. I just love food of every variety, including, I love broccoli, by the way. You out there, you should all love broccoli too. It's delicious. Admit it. But yeah, I'm a lover of food in general, so it's hard to answer that question. Here are a bunch of random questions I am putting down, although not all of them are random. Goody, another multiple question. Who is your first, second, favorite, and least favorite? Sue, Lucy, or Amanda? Well, right off the bat, I can't answer that one because, like, it's almost like they're my children, and you really can't have a favorite child. And I don't. I don't like or dislike one of them more than the others. You know, they're all fundamentally good people. They're all also flawed people in different ways. And, you know, I try to make them as human as possible. And I just, you know, I don't set out to make any of them good guys or bad guys. I just want to make them, as three-dimensional as the limited framework of The Sims can make them, and have people draw their own conclusions from that. So I really can't answer who's my favorite and least favorite. Have you ever been to college? And if so, which ones? Yes, I went to a college called Kutztown University of Pennsylvania. It's here in the wonderful state of Pennsylvania. Excuse me. I went for 2 years. 2 years I studied there, from 04 to 06, 2 years. But I did not graduate. I dropped out. It's a long story. I might go into it in a car blog one of these days, but to make a long story short, I didn't really have much of a direction when I was, about that age. So I just sort of dropped out after, really realizing I was getting nowhere and feeling this feeling of dissatisfaction with how my life was going, which I'm sure is a feeling that many of you have felt. Now, this was 4 years ago, and I feel like I'm just now, like within the last month, just starting to get things more or less on track. And part of getting back on track is knowing how off track you are. Alright. You consistently say in the Sims 2 LPs that the Lincolns love waffles, but I believe the question here is, do you like waffles? Yes, I love waffles. Technically it's pancakes, but yes, I love pancakes too. I love them intensely. I go to diners at 3 in the morning and I say, I'd like 3 pancakes, some sausage, and some eggs. And do I love it right up. Oh yes, and I'm sure my love of pancakes has, bled over into The Sims, even though they do a bit of liking of pancakes themselves. So yes, pancakes, thumbs up from me. Alright, what are your ethnic backgrounds, or whatever it's called? Irish, Turkish, Chinese, etc. I, myself, am, as you can see, I'm a white person. I'm 100% Northern European white. I am English, mainly English, but also a large part German, and about an eighth Swedish. Yes, Swedish. And, there might be traces of French or Scottish in there, but primarily it's those three: English, German, and Swedish. And I'm very proud of that too. I really think it's really important to be proud of who you are, whoever you are. So, that's what that is. What is love? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bum, 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 bum. Okay, anyway. P.S. Sorry, I am just really, 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 really bored right now. Isn't that nice? Hopefully you're a little less bored now. Do I need to headbang a little bit more for you? Bow, 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 bow. Okay, now. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Now I have an answer for this. The answer is 5.05. I learned this when I was a kid. I'm not going to tell you how, but I learned it. And it was a very intelligent dog who discovered this secret. And he was right. What do you know? It's 5.05. Are you more of a creationist or a Darwinist? Oh, here's an interesting question. Someone's really getting into the serious stuff now. Yes, it's probably the first time I've been serious this whole time. If I'm going to be serious, I gotta take another sip of this excellent prune soda. Well, definitely more of a Darwinist, evolutionary-ist, whatever you might call it, because honestly, it's self-evident, and I'm going to say this right here, and I don't care who I offend, but I think creationism is just some of the worst garbage that has ever been presented to us in recent times. I don't think it's worthy of consideration or respect, creationism whatsoever. I think it's just nonsense. And, you know, I have a pretty negative attitude towards religion in general, but most religious things I can tolerate. But creationism, you know, at least in the old, or the new Earth, the Earth was created 6,000 years ago in 7 days. It's a nice story, but it's complete bullshit, basically. And, I don't think that, I just don't think that anyone who believes that is really seriously thinking about things. They're just sort of repeating what they've been heard, or they just haven't had the right facts presented to them. But I think it's self-evident. When I drive along and I see, the cliffs that have been eroded by rivers over millions of years, I think it cheapens the whole thing to say that all this was created like in an instant. I mean, I think that cheapens everything, because just the majesty of like a supernova exploding and then the particles slowly condensing into stars and planets over billions of years, and slowly oceans form and continents emerge, and rivers run, and species change a little bit over time to become as complex as we are. And to take all that and cheapen it by saying that we were just created like that is just, I think, terrible. I think it's awful. Alright. Anyway, when will you announce your music channel? Soon. Keep watching for that. I talked about my music channel, my upcoming music channel, a little bit on the Suddenplant show. But what it is, I plan, I make music, believe it or not, in addition to everything else I do. I write songs, and you will hear these songs soon, very soon, I promise. Alright. Whoever asked those 4 questions before now has a 5 through 10, so let's see what they have to say. 5. Do you have a girlfriend? Can you tell us about her? No, I do not have a girlfriend right now. I am currently single and have been for an unfortunate amount of time. So, sadly, no girlfriend right now. Oh well. You might think that working at a retail job where plenty of girls come in all the time would be prime opportunity to meet girls, but really, it hasn't provided anything for me, because like the very strict framework in which you are ringing up a customer and checking them out or making their hoagie, it wouldn't be very professional of me to ask someone out while I'm ringing them up at the cash register, So it's very difficult. And that isn't to say that there haven't been a number of girls that have come into Wawa that I've liked, just because, their beauty. There's been one time, I remember last September, this girl walked in and her beauty just knocked me over right there. She just seemed perfect. But she never came back in again. And then there's this other girl who I know works at a nearby Ruby Tuesdays. And, I've been meaning to go over to Ruby Tuesdays for months now to ask her out, but it just hasn't happened yet. But I'll keep you informed of that situation if anything develops. Which 6? Remember, there's 10 of these by this one guy. 6. Which sim is your favorite? I already answered that. I can't tell you. And I can't tell you because I don't have a favorite. And even if I did, I couldn't tell you. They're like children. Can't pick between your children. I've already said it. So, next question. 7. What do you think is the meaning of life? 42 doesn't count. Well, what do you mean then? 42 doesn't count. That is the meaning of life. It's the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. But if you really want to be serious about it, I've actually pondered this question, and a very long time ago, I discovered the meaning of life. It's very simple. The meaning of life is simply life itself. That's all there is to it, honestly. And that's all I have to say about that. The meaning of life is life itself. It's the most simple and beautiful truth. Yet, it's true. 8. Sorry to repeat, but what plans do you have for Sue's World? Like I said, I don't want to give anything away, but I don't want my shows to become bland and repetitive and predictable, so expect a little spice. Expect unexpected things to happen. You'll see. Question mark, what's the question to this one? That was from the question, not from me. That was from me. The question number is 9, obviously, because 9 comes after 8, comes before 10. Unless it was like 11, and you're trying to trick me like, oh, it was 11, but whatever. 10. What other Super Mario World hacks are you going to LP? That's a good question. I don't know right now. After I finish ASMT, I am going to LP more Super Mario World hacks. Hopefully not ones that long. I don't want to just like do the same hacks that raocow has done or that other big LPers have done. I want to look for smaller, maybe less polished hacks. Like, I'm not raocow. It doesn't have to look good. It just has to be fun. So if any of you know any just simple, fun hacks out there that aren't necessarily elaborate design, like I don't care if there's cutoff, and I don't care if, there's glitched sprites here or there, and I don't care if munchers are floating. As long as it's not Kaizo difficulty, I'm willing to play it. So if anyone has any suggestions, please tell me. Alright, well, we are really running low on time, so we're just going to have to make a part 3. So everyone, thank you for watching. There's more to come. Part 3 will be soon.